Hi, I'm calling the Monday, June 15th, 2020 Board of Library Trustees to order at 3:30 p.m.
Of minutes.
Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
I did. I would take each separately if we could, so that I might make a comment or ask a question or possibly an amendment.
Sure. The February 25th, 2020?
Yes. Just an update if I could. It said that new business, recap of meetings, selectmen's meeting, final Plymouth County reuse. Karen attended selectmen's meeting at which she reviewed statistics and programs and highlighted some of the changes at the library. At the final Plymouth County reuse meeting, the members brought a draft of the plan for the whole property and explained the plan going forward over the next 3 years. It's been a while, it was February 25th, but can anyone, Karen, I guess, can you give us any information whether the library was mentioned as a possibility in this reuse plan?
Yeah, I think we just talked a little bit about that before, that they had, on one of the plans at least, there was an area for a library designated. I don't know if that is a plan that they're moving forward with, or if there were, I think, a lot of different plans, and maybe Corinne can elaborate a bit. I think she was the one who had been to maybe some other meetings of theirs, but since then, but there was at least one plan that had a library featured on it, so.
Yes, I've been to a few of their meetings, and they have, there's a spot there in the back, but both Karen and I felt it probably wasn't conducive. The parking is kind of all, not all together, it's spread out. And we commented about, how much parking we would need. They're not, like Matt Dyer told me, that space is still there. But they did ask us, wouldn't you want to be where everything else is going on in town? Nearer to the schools and whatnot. I believe we had gone over this at one of the meetings anyway. So, we just said that we wanted to get information, what was going on, and is there a place for us? And, but I mean, the people who mentioned that they thought we should be, by like Indian Head and so forth, they were all very positive and very supportive of the library. But they thought we'd be too far off where everything else is happening in town.
I think we all agree that isn't the ideal, but by the time we get state funding or funding for the library, that may be the option we're facing if we want a new construction. So I think we have to keep the option open, even though at this point it isn't the option we think we want. But okay. I think that's important, not to shut out options, because we really don't know the time frame and what's going to happen between now and then.
No, we don't. And I can talk to Matt, find out when they're going to meet again, and I can go to the meeting, and Karen, you can come. We'll go and say that we'd like to keep that option open. With what's going on with COVID, everything's at a standstill.
Right.
But we will speak to them.
Okay.
I'll shoot out a message to Matt this evening.
Yeah, just say we're concerned in the long term. We have no idea about time frame, and we don't want other more ideal options to be shut down and then not have this as an option. We're in support of other locations, definitely, if they're available when we do construction. Drive that home, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? May I have a vote to accept the minutes for February 25th, 2020.
I'll move that we accept the meeting minutes from February 25th, 2020 as presented.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Was that Pam?
That wasn't me. I don't know who said that.
What, Jen?
Joanne.
That was Joanne.
I do.
Okay.
Okay, now I'll do roll call. Pam?
Here.
Linda?
Oh,
Joanne?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Corinne, yes. All in favor. Did you want to say something for May 7th, 2020, Linda?
if I could,
Sure.
sorry. Again, it said Linda virtually attended a webinar on how foundations could support their libraries during COVID-19. She mentioned that because not everyone is on social media, it might be helpful to send an email or make a personal phone call to foundation members. I was really suggesting that if anyone could do to library patrons or people in the library community, not just foundation members. And I have read that just generally, it didn't specify, I think it was from MBLC, that some libraries are contacting patrons just to offer support. And I know we've been in touch with some, and I know Karen's loaned out devices, tablets or whatever, laptops. But the more we can do to keep in contact to patrons in the community, individuals in the community, the better, I think. But so not just foundation members.
Would you like me to add that or take away foundation members?
To members of the library community, how's that?
Perfect.
Take out foundation, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Does anyone have anything else? May I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of May 7th, 2020?
I can make a motion, can I?
Yep, second?
I second the motion.
Okay. Roll call for voting. Linda?
Yes,
Pam?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Corinne, yes. All in favor. Okay, has everyone reviewed the minutes for May 27th, 2020?
yes.
Are there any questions or concerns?
I think there might be one thing that's repeated about the opening policies. Let me find it. I didn't want to print them all out, so. Okay, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, at the beginning it said, Linda discussed stating out reopening plan standards to be met, and our reopening plan correlates it. And then further down you have, I guess this is on page Linda mentioned the MBLC policy review and asked if Karen had shown plan to Board of Health. MBLC has mandatory standards to follow regarding reopening plans. So it seems those are a little repetitive. I don't know if you want to try and combine them or just leave them.
Um,
A little awkward, not in person.
yeah. So maybe just get rid of one sentence, or are we saying to combine them more?
Maybe combine the two paragraphs into one paragraph, because it, I guess you can leave it.
Yeah, I don't know how. Let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you if you want to. We can try to reword it, or
I guess as long as it's, yeah, I'll read the two and you can decide. Linda asked Karen who will review or has reviewed library opening plan. Karen mentioned sending copies to town administrator and he will send to Board of Health. Linda asked about having town council review. Karen will send them copy. Then it also says Linda mentioned MBLC policy review and asked if Karen has shown plan to Board of Health. Karen said she sent it to town administrator and he will forward to Board of Health. So they're almost the same, but you can leave them if you want. Or I could send Jen the two paragraphs and she could combine them into one. I don't know how you want to proceed.
I don't have these minutes in my Google folder, but if someone shared with me, I certainly could.
Oh yeah, because I think was it you, Pam, that had.
Yeah, I did it on a separate program, and then I just I sent them to you through an email.
But I can put them in the folder, Jen.
Perfect, thank you, and I can fix that for you, however you want it.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's up to you. It is repetitive, but so I don't know. Okay. And I'll send you the two paragraphs in particular so you know what I'm talking about, Jen, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine, no problem.
Any more discussion?
Pardon? Oh, any more discussion? Let me see. No. Sorry, thank you for your patience.
I'll make a motion to accept the May 27, 2020 trustee minutes.
I second it. Oh,
Somebody.
Okay, roll call. Pam,
Accept.
Jen?
Yes.
I wasn't here, so I'm not going to vote.
Oh, that's right, that's fine. Linda?
Okay.
yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, Corinne, yes. I did send a text to Diane, but I haven't heard back from her.
Okay.
I wonder if she just forgot.
So director's report. So you all should have gotten the report along with the accompanying documents. So I'll start with statistics. Obviously, with COVID-19 and our closure, a lot of our statistics look very different. We, obviously checkouts, in-person checkouts, library attendance, in-house programming, those are all decreased or dropped to zero. You should have February, May statistics. However, you could see with our digital services that those were used extensively. So most notably were Overdrive ebooks. In February, there were 441 checkouts, and by the time we got to May, it was 780. So that's pretty big increase. It's kind of to be expected, though. We were promoting them very heavily, and so people are definitely using them. Also, during this time, we began tracking online card registrations and virtual programming. So I believe it was April, we have 15 online card registrations, 16 for May. And then in May, we started with virtual programming. So we had 8 programs with 42 attending. So that's a look at statistics. in terms of budget, salaries are being paid as usual. We haven't been receiving our revenue from late fees and copier and printing and faxing, obviously, but it is offset a little bit by the fact that our expenses have decreased because we've been closed. So we are not spending on office supplies and book covering supplies and things like that. So for the remainder of this year, our budget looks good. I think we're all set with that. It's obviously next year is going to be the big question mark. But this year we're fine with our budget.
Do you have an idea of when you might want to start the fees again, or you want it to go like through the summer with no fees, or what do people think?
As for late fees, at least, that we would at least probably go through the summer. In terms of, I'm actually thinking about, which I was talking a little bit about later, but I'm thinking of ways that we could, if somebody did want to pick up a print that, that they could send us, or, how would we charge for that? So that is kind of on my radar to think about. I think the late fees, I was thinking at least throughout the summer, we would continue.
My opinion is if you had the staff to offer some kind of remote printing, that would be a wonderful service. I did notice Randolph, I forget the name of the library, it's Randolph Public. Anyways, they do offer remote printing for free up to 10 pages, but they ask the emergency printing. I think originally they just offered printing without limitations, and it probably get overwhelming.
Yeah.
But if
we definitely have the technology for that. Like I said, it would just be figuring out some of the minor details of, but I think it's something we can start up pretty quickly. So,
you think the staff could handle it if you offered it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I know we probably, Turner Library, Randolph, we probably don't have anywhere near the staff as Randolph. And that's always a concern. Okay, so that's something we can think about, I guess. And I don't know how anyone else feels about doing it free with limitation of maybe 10 pages, 5 pages. Do we want to discuss that while we're here?
I mean, that was one of the options. Another one was I was going to try to look into some payment options, like remote payment options, or, there's a possibility that we could put out, if people gave exact change, put out a cup they could just drop it into. We wouldn't touch, we would like quarantine the whatever until, for several days, or something like that. So I'm still kind of figuring out what would be the best option and what would be feasible to do. Or whether we keep some track of, how much people owe, and then they send us a check later if once it gets to be a sizable amount, or we track it through their account, like add a bill to their account for printing. So there's several different options, just matter of figuring out what would work best.
How much do you usually take in from the printing?
Yeah, so I actually just recently looked at that. Obviously, since we were closed for a couple months, the numbers are off a bit, but in general, like right now, it's up to about $500. No, printing is about $1,000. Fax, I believe, was $500. Copier was about $500. So, I mean, total, it can be up to like $4,000 or $5,000 per year.
Yeah.
All the different things that we charge, and not including late fees. This is just like printing, faxing, things like that. So it is, pretty substantial amount and it covers the cost of our copier. So the leasing of our copier and paper.
Right.
Well, why don't you look into the options, Karen, and see what you can find out would work best, and then we can address it at the next meeting?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We can, but I can tell you that I think a little free goodwill would go a long way if we could work it out. That's my opinion. I don't know if anyone else wants to.
I agree with that too, but at some point we're going to have to make a decision. Maybe come the fall.
Right. But right now, I'm sure like any printing or copier or fax requests would be minimal too. You have to think of that too. Okay, we'll let Karen check it out. Thank you.
So moving on to programming, obviously, again, once we closed in March, we canceled all programming. As I said, we began offering virtual programming in May with 8 programs and 42 attending. So we started first with virtual book chats, and we added a craft component, and then we are looking into doing other programming as well. Of course, we're planning for summer reading now too. We were awarded a CARES Act grant through the MBLC, and with that we purchased Beanstack, which is a summer reading program. Patrons can track their reading, log on, track their reading progress throughout the summer, and then it can be entered to win prizes. We have that, and then we also are planning a variety of virtual summer programming. We're going to try to apply for another grant, CARES Act grant, that is specifically earmarked for libraries and virtual programming. And some of the ideas we had were doing weekly book clubs, which we always usually do book clubs in the summer for the kids, story times, crafts. I talked to John. He said he might be willing to do some online drawing instructional sessions, like film himself drawing,
Cool.
that. And then also some STEM activities. So I was thinking we could use our makerspace cart and create packets that people would pick up through curbside. And then we could do an activity the following week with those to have them build something using the makerspace cart supplies. So those, and then we're also going to try to get so a lot of vendors or performers are doing virtual programming. They've switched over to that. So we have a couple lined up that we're going to have come in for the summer to do like a Zoom program with, and the theme this year is like fairy tales, fantasy, mythology. So try to do some geared toward that theme from different performers. And then we had originally, last year, we had applied for a Cultural Council grant to do a program with the Easton Children's Museum this summer, but we are postponing those funds until next year. So that program will be next year instead. So that's kind of a summary of programming. I will talk a little bit more later too about some of the other stuff we're doing, but that's kind of a summary of our programming. And then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Can I just talk a little about those? I assume the CARES Act grant?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate, we do. Appreciate you doing that. Summer reading. I saw posted on Facebook, I think, about the middle school summer reading titles, that you had them and all. And I wondered, have you looked into, I don't know if you've done this or not, either audio versions or e-book versions of the titles too?
Yeah, it's the high school list. So we have purchased all of them, as much as we could for ebooks and digital audiobooks to Overdrive. And Julie has the list of ones that are on Hoopla as well. So we have all those set for digital copies too. So.
Oh, great. And I'll just mention too, I think it was wonderful how someone initiated maybe mostly middle school students reading picture books online. Yeah. I think that's terrific. I'd like to pat someone on the back for that and thank them. And then the Hanson Middle School 8th grade graduation pictures of the individual kids with what their accomplishments were and their likes, and thought that was wonderful too.
Good idea.
Thank you all. I'm not sure exactly what staff members is doing what, but it's all very good. Appreciated.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree, Karen. I've got a lot of good feedback on the online student readers.
Yeah, they came up. Yeah.
Very, very well received. Nice job.
Thank you.
I thought that was great.
Good job. So
it was excellent.
Please tell we really are impressed.
Then just a quick thing for building and maintenance. The new trees are doing really well. They're looking beautiful. And then the community room flooring in the senior center, the new flooring was installed, and that looks fantastic. All the furniture in there is going to be getting protective pads to prevent scratches. So that's all going to be finishing up soon. So that is,
Sorry to bother, interrupt. Is there any way we could get a picture of that? Could you?
of the flooring.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be nice too.
Yeah.
I'm sure it looks beautiful. No doubt. I'm just so excited to see
I know.
Yeah.
I saw it in the community room one day when I was watering the trees. The door was open, so I was outside the building, but I could see the community room, and it does look very nice.
Oh,
What I saw.
wonderful.
I can't wait for the kids to put down the rug. They can have like a nice story hour with a nice floor and not have to worry about stuff, you know? Yeah.
And our yoga classes. on
Yes,
that.
yoga classes, absolutely.
Oh, yes, definitely. Miss it.
I know.
All right, so that's the report. Guess we can move on to the reopening plan. So just a couple things about it. I did ask it to be sent to town council. I have not heard back. I did check in again, I think last week. I think they're pretty swamped with other issues going on. So they, they have not gotten back to me about anything they wanted to change. I thought was that if you were ready to adopt it today, that you could do so. And then if they get back to me with any changes at a later date, that it could be amended. Just so it's not held up too much, because like I said, I think they're pretty swamped with other things to, and maybe didn't have time to get to this. So that was kind of my thought about that.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so you want us to vote on accepting the plan?
Yeah, because we used it at the last meeting. Unless there were any last minute issues.
Okay.
Has the town administrator reviewed it, or the Board of Health?
They looked at the one that we did earlier, which we amended slightly, but I did send it to them. And like I said, I asked him to send it to legal counsel and review it himself. So I haven't heard anything. Again, I think they're pretty swamped as well with
Right.
the things going on. So I haven't heard anything in terms of if they wanted to change anything. I mean, the last they said they were pretty happy with it. So when we only made a few minor changes,
Okay, good.
similar.
Now, we don't have an updated patron policy since we haven't dealt with that. And because of that, this might not be the best place to do it, but should some statement be made in lack of it being a policy elsewhere, something like all phases, patrons and staff will be expected to follow current state and local safety guidelines? Because nowhere does it really say, as far as you say you provide facial coverings for the staff, but I don't see anywhere, I don't think, that says that patrons are expected to wear them when required by the state. Or I don't know, how do you feel about adding something like that?
Yeah, I think adding one line in like that, I think that would be good.
Okay, thank you. You want me to repeat it, Jen? Or send it to you? Jen, I can send it in a chat on the side of the.
Actually,
Would that be helpful?
I'm sorry. Normally, yes, but for some reason, the way my computer is set up right now, I'm able to find even myself or find the chat right now. And
Okay.
I don't want to leave the meeting prematurely.
No.
So you don't mind emailing it to me?
Not at all.
Okay.
There is. I don't have to. There's a chat on the bottom of your Zoom.
I know that. And normally,
Okay.
if I'm doing a regular
Okay.
Zoom, I've done something wrong because I'm looking at the minutes at
no
the same
problem.
time. So,
I'd be happy to.
okay.
And I'll repeat it for those if you'd like, just quickly. In
Sure.
all phases, patrons and staff will be expected to follow current state and local safety guidelines. But I'm going to send it to Jen.
Thank you.
You said it to me too, Linda.
Who's that, Karen?
Yes, yeah.
I'll send it to everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the best thing to do. Does
Okay.
anyone else have any questions, concerns?
I did just have a quick question about, so just in terms of writing the minutes up here. So we're gonna take a vote for this today, and then if town council comes back with some changes, how do you want me to write that, Karen?
So we would just have amended it at another meeting, the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to accept the reopening plan?
I can make a motion to accept the reopening plan as is now.
And then we'll amend it if need be.
Yeah,
With the addition of the sentence. In
Right.
all places, okay, yeah. Karen can decide where she wants it, I guess.
Okay,
Okay.
someone second the motion?
I'll second it. Oh, okay, go ahead, Pam.
Oh, let's just say I'll second it. It's fine.
Okay. I'll do a roll call, starting with Joanne,
yes.
Linda,
Yes,
Jen,
yes,
Sam,
Yes.
Maureen, yes, all in favor. Thank you.
Okay. So I was just going to give you an update on kind of where things are now, and then thought we could talk a little bit about some next steps. So, we're in our phase one, so still, and staff have returned to working in the building. They have altered schedules, but they are continuing to work from home if needed. We started curbside pickup on June 1st, and that's been going smoothly. We are scheduling people in, several people within a half-hour window, and then when they call us when they arrive in the parking lot, we check out their items, put them into a bag, and we're putting them on the picnic table out front for them to pick up. We've gotten a lot of positive comments from people that they're really glad that we're back working, that we're offering this service. So it's been very positive, a lot of positive feedback. We are also keeping statistics. So from June 1st, when we started, to the end of Saturday, 13th, we had 126 pickups.
Wow.
The most we had was on the first day, was 32. So it's averaging about 12 per day, which we're finding is manageable for us. Right now, patrons are still limited to borrowing in-house items. We did just get an update from delivery. So what they're doing first is they're making a sweep through the larger high volume libraries, and they're picking up outgoing bins. And then they're going to be doing the smaller libraries, hopefully this week, picking up just things that are going out. So right now we have 16 bins waiting. Typically we have 2 to 3 per day. So
Wow.
it's a little more volume than what we're used to. After that, they're thinking that maybe next week they can start bringing in incoming bins in limited, so that maybe 2 to 3 times a week, visiting each library 2 to 3 times a week starting next week. But they still have to wait and see, thinking of outgoing bins, how that's going. So hopefully the delivery will start up in some fashion soon, within the next 2 weeks. Also, since June 1st, we had opened our book drop. It was getting filled up pretty quickly at first, but as time goes on, it's getting more manageable. So right now, it's only open when staff are here, plus Thursday evenings. But we're going to give it a little bit more time, and then we're hopefully going to be able to open it as we normally would, leave it open all the time pretty soon. As we previously mentioned, items in the book drop are being quarantined for 3 days. So we have tables set up in the community room labeled Monday to Saturday, and we're on a rotating schedule to check them in after 3 days have passed. From cleaning, Brian is working his regular shifts, so he's focusing on doorknobs, the staff bathroom, break room, other high-touch surfaces. And staff are cleaning their own desks, so we're wiping things down regularly, particularly the circulation desk. Also, the building is being fogged once a week by the police department's maintenance contractor. So coming in, it's a disinfecting fog that kills viruses in a few minutes. So he's doing that once a week. Then kind of looking ahead, Julia had recommended some keyboard and mouse covers that you can public computers and some of the shared staff desks, and it just makes things easier to clean. You can wipe the keyboard and mouse more easily. So I did some of those, and those should be coming in soon. A couple other things from sales. So we received news from them that the mobile app, so people can download the sales mobile app. They can search the catalog. They can put holds on. They can check their account. That's going to soon have a self-checkout feature. So it's something that sales will turn on. Libraries have to opt in if they want to, and it'll allow people to take an item, scan the library barcode that's on the item, and then it'll check it out to their account. So I think it's something that will help minimize shared surfaces, shared and touch surfaces. So instead of patrons touching the item, giving it to us to check out, us giving it back to them, they'll be able to check out themselves. We don't have a timeline of when that's going to start, and I don't have all the details of how it might work for us, but it's something I'm definitely going to look into. I think it'll be good for us to implement that to minimize the shared touch surfaces. Also, sales is recommending something called Chrome Remote Desktop. So once we do get patrons back in and people can use the computers, if somebody runs into trouble, instead of having a staff member go over and assist them, we can install this onto the patron computers and onto, like say, Julia's computer, and she'll be able to remotely access that patron's computer and do any sort of troubleshooting remotely. So that's something down the line that we're going to look into. I am also still looking into laptops. There's a lot of different factors to figure out in terms of how we would get them to people, how we would loan them out in the building, how would printing work. So I'm still looking into that, but I think we have, it's probably going to be at least another month or maybe even more before people can start using computers again. So we have some time to look into that. We already talked a little bit about how we would get people to do the printing and copying and faxing things. So I'll think more about that for our next meeting. And then some good news that Jess is back from maternity leave. So she started back Saturday, and she already she recorded herself reading some kids' books. So we're going to be posting those, and then she's going to see if she can translate her story time into a virtual. Maybe probably do some more postings, but then maybe try to do like a live session where people would sign up and like on Saturday morning and do it because through Zoom. So she's thinking about that as well. So that was kind of just a summary of kind of what's going on. Did anybody have any questions about anything I mentioned or comments?
It all sounds very good, Karen.
It's very thorough, thank you.
Yeah, very, very busy there.
Karen, I was one of the first people to come in on that day and take that book bundle, and I think it was Julia who put it together for me. She did a great job. And I have a couple of friends in town that were so excited that you were able to start loaning books. So it's been just great, Karen, just great.
Yeah.
I've had a few friends that have, one friend in particular, she said she felt like it was Christmas, but she went over and she was able to pick up a bag, and then her and some other woman, they were like, what did you get? A lot of good positive feedback.
Agreed, yeah, agreed.
I've heard the same thing. Some of my neighbors are just so excited to be able to go and, put in for books and get them. Good job, Karen.
Great job. I've heard the same. You've all heard the same. That's great.
Okay.
You can make it, Diane.
I'm sitting outside Lowe's. I set my alarm for Tuesday, not Monday.
Diana,
So when my alarm goes off tomorrow, I'll be joining in and I'll be all by myself.
Boy, I understand.
It's great to hear that Jess is back. And I love the fact that she's doing some recordings and everything. I think that's terrific. So.
Great. Okay. So I thought we could talk a couple things about moving into the next phase. So actually right now, Massachusetts is in what they're saying is phase 2, step 1. Originally, when they had mentioned phase 2 for libraries, they had said that patrons would be allowed into the building and they would be allowed to browse with restrictions. Since then, we've gotten some documents with library-specific information about what this phase means for us, what the governor is allowing. So instead, they've changed it to patrons are still allowed to come in, but they are not, all they can do is check out at the circulation desk. So, in thinking about that, my thought was that that's not really much different than curbside, than what, the services we're providing through that. So if people can only come in and check out a book, we might as well just have them stick to curbside rather than having people come in and, then we'd have to clean more. I'm sure there'd be people that would want to do extra and we'd have to say no. So my thought is that I'm planning on sticking with curbside only until patrons are allowed to come in to do more than just check out books. It just didn't seem like it really made sense to have them come in when they're getting the same services through curbside. So that was my thought about that. And a lot of libraries are following suit with that. A couple I know have opened, very, very limited, but as I said, patrons right now can only check out if they did come in. So I feel like it makes more sense to just stick with curbside.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Me
I agree.
too.
My
I
thought.
like how you offered patrons the option of giving you, I don't know, was it a subject or a genre, and you out books for them, and maybe other ways to assist them where they can't just browse. I don't know, maybe even just put it out in an email that service is available as we continue curbside. When I sent out the notice about curbside to all the people on the foundation list, we did get one request through the email for curbside pickup the day you started it and stuff. So not everyone might do social media. So if you put something together, I'd be willing to send it out. And I think you have various lists and stuff. So that would be helpful, I think, to people.
Yep.
That's a one more thing to do, but
That's
it's useful.
Karen, do you participate in the townwide list?
No, usually we have like a list of all the patrons that have emails or that have signed up for our newsletter. We would send it out to that. That's what we do. So my thoughts too, in terms of possibly when we are going to let patrons in, I'm thinking kind of a tentative date of July 6th or possibly June 29th. But this is, of course, assuming that the state guidelines will allow it, that patrons do more than checkout at the desk, as I said, and that we have everything in place here that we would need to. But that was kind of my thought, that probably like July 6th would be kind of a date that we could look forward to when we'd be able to let people in, given I said that everything comes together, all those factors come together. Of course, we would have to expand hours probably as well at that point. And we had talked about having hours for high-risk populations. But that was just, from the standpoint that we're at now, July 6th seemed like a reasonable date. And of course that could change. But that was kind of my thoughts. I don't know if anybody else had thought in terms of that was kind of general date I figured might work.
Yeah, I agree with the July 6th. The other thought, and you'll expand hours, the other thought was 29th and just go with the current hours, just to see how busy you get.
Right. That's a possibility. Right.
I thought, I don't know what anyone else might want to add.
I just do want to say, though, that from what I've heard from town hall, that I think that I think they have to open for the election on the 27th is what I heard. So kind of do a soft opening for that. So I think they said maybe 29th it was, that they were going to try to open to some extent. So that would kind of be similar to their timeline.
Right. Yeah, I heard Elizabeth's selectmen's meeting. Yeah,
We could come be your guinea pigs for a soft opening.
Don't tell anybody but us.
Yeah.
Exclusive,
Good idea.
right?
That was all you want.
It's actually not a bad idea to get a feel for having other people in there to see, that we can all get a feel for what steps might we have missed or things like that. Are there other things to do that sometimes just having other brains in there to get a feel for it can make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, for example, I've gone to CVS to have to check out at the pharmacy and use the touchpad. And then I've gone to pick up my parents' prescriptions at Walgreens. And so that you don't have to use the touchpad, they have Q-tips there in a clean and a dirty container, so that you actually pick up a clean Q-tip to touch the touchpad and then dispose of in the dirty one. So, you know, it's just seeing how different places have done different things. It can be interesting to get a different perspective.
Right.
That's all.
That's true. I was at the dentist this morning and had to sign the COVID paperwork, and you take the pen and it's yours to keep.
Um,
Yeah, and then other places, they have the clean and the dirty pens because they put them down and put it back in the clean bin.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's just a thought that if you wanted to have another perspective, that we do our own little soft opening of where we come in and try out the keeping the distance and things like that. You can have the staff yell at us if we, you know, get too close to things.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It makes sense to have kind of like a physical, I mean, because you can put everything on paper and have all these ideas, but to have like a soft opening where you physically have people in there, sometimes you find little things that need tweaks. So I agree with Diana.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and we're finding too that you know, we don't want to plan too much because I feel like, you know, the governor, when he announces things, he sort of like it starts immediately, and you need time to plan. So, you know, we don't know what he's going to say, what is going to be allowed. So if you plan too much in advance, expecting one thing, and then it's changed, then, you know, so you kind of have to be on your toe, you know, keep on your toes. But but you know, it's a work in progress. So
Definitely, but I don't think you should feel pressure when
No,
the
we don't-
state does maybe phase 2, step 2, to
Right.
necessarily act right immediately either.
Right.
What's
Right.
good for you and
And
the library.
their timeline, which is fine, but you know, we just want to make sure that we're moving things in a fashion that it's safe, but still providing as many services to people too, so safely.
Right.
So that was kind of my thoughts about that. So did anybody have any questions or comments about what's kind of next, or?
I'm good.
Okay,
Good work, Karen.
thank you.
Yes.
A lot of work, Karen.
Wow.
A lot.
We
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it.
I want to ask one question too. So when we are ready to open, I mean, do you feel that it's something that the board needs to vote on to move to the next step, or that should be based on kind of where I feel like we're at in terms of all the different factors that we're dealing with?
Should we vote on giving you the authority to? Would that?
I don't know what kind
Yeah.
of what the thought was in terms of,
Right.
I feel confident making that decision about opening when I feel like we're ready. Like I said, once everything kind of falls into place.
I mean, it makes sense because you know day to day what you're setting up and what's working, and more than us. So yeah, I would agree with that.
The only thing I've said sometimes in the past is if there's any fallback from your decision, if the decision's made by the trustees rather than you won't be the target. I don't know if that would be an issue or not.
You know, check and make sure with town hall that they're on board with it. That's something, you know, I mean, obviously they don't know about every little detail of our operations, but, you know, I would definitely ask if it was something that I felt like would be something that would be an issue maybe.
I think you coordinating with town hall is the most important because, you know, I mean, they're making the decisions for the town.
Right.
And so I think unless you're getting pushed to open sooner than you feel you have everything in place, and you want to be able to say, you know, we need another week, and you need somebody to be able to back you up that you need another week, then yeah, then I think the trustees might need to weigh in. But I don't see town hall doing that, so.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't either, and I agree with what everyone has said so far. You're in the heat of it every day, and
Right.
I feel comfortable letting you make the decision.
Okay. I just wanted to
I
make.
would request, if I could, that you inform the trustees of the decision before it happens.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right?
Agreed.
Thank you.
All right. So we can actually move on to so one other business besides if there's any foundation updates. I put landscaping on the agenda because usually we do some landscaping in the summer. And I thought it might be a good idea in case, you know, I decided that we did want to, I mean, obviously we have the new trees, so we don't need that area done, but to have you vote to approve some funding just in case we decide that we did want to do some landscaping, additional landscaping in other areas.
That's where you're looking to spend.
Well, in the past, I know it's been 2,500 we've done, but it probably wouldn't need to be that much this time. The only issue is, we don't know what our budget is going to be like next fiscal year, or if there's, we're almost to the end of June now, but so if we're going to have any extra this fiscal year to do some, because next fiscal year we don't know if it's going to be like that 1/12 budget I'd heard talked about, or if there's what's going to happen. So, but I was thinking possibly we could do like up to 2,000, and it might not even be that. Like I said, since a lot of the stuff was already done with the new trees, there could be some other limited areas.
Is this landscaping maintenance or?
I'm sorry?
Is this for maintenance of the landscaping or adding to the new plantings?
No, just like maintaining, because some of the other areas have like some weeds growing and there might need to be some trees. Okay.
No, then yeah, I agree that we need to maintain what we have.
Mm-hmm.
But with the uncertainty of the budget and all, adding new, I would hold back on, but right. I agree with maintaining.
Okay. Yeah. So so I would request like up to 2,000 for landscaping. And again, if something happens and we're not able to this year, then I mean, that might be the case, but as long, I felt like we needed to do it ahead of time so that it was in place in case we do have the resources to do it.
So you want a motion for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are trying?
Yes. Yeah. So
this year's fiscal money?
I'm sorry?
You're trying to use this year's fiscal money.
Well, I'm not sure. That's I wasn't sure if we would be able to do it this year or if it would have to wait till July or after July. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if that's even possible for you to just say up to 2,000 either this fiscal year or next funds.
Well, we've done it in the past where we voted and it was a while before the work is done. So I think we can have a motion to approve up to $2,000 for landscaping maintenance. And it's going to come from this year, what we have left in this year's, correct?
Well, that's what possibly. That's what I wasn't sure. If we have enough, maybe if we could squeeze it in. Otherwise, it would have to be the July 1st funds after that.
Okay. Well, if you feel that you can have the work done within 2 weeks, approximately, I don't have an issue with it. Does anyone else? Okay. May I have a motion, please?
Okay. This is Diana. I make a motion that we give Karen up to $2,000 for landscape maintenance to either come out of the balance of the current budget or the next budget to come to maintain the landscaping.
I second the motion.
Can I discuss this further?
Sure.
Yep.
You look impatient. Sorry.
No, it's my eyeglasses, the reflection.
Oh, okay. I don't mean to belabor the point. But from my past experience, Ed Sheehan did the trees out front and did an excellent job. If you contacted him and said you have money that you'd like to expend before July 1st, I bet he'd take care of you. I'd like to see probably the couscous dogwood trimmed or shaped, and if you were specific about it. And I don't think it would be anywhere near 2,000, but I'm not a landscaper.
Yeah, I don't think
Right.
it will be either.
Yeah. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, Linda,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Corinne, yes, all in favor. Thank you.
I'm just sorry, could someone just tell me who seconded that? I couldn't keep up.
Oh, I had seconded.
Oh,
Thank
Corinne seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, so then the only last thing is, were there any foundation updates, Linda, that you wanted to share?
Before that, could I mention something about, you were talking about next year's budget a little bit there? In a phone call with Karen, we've gone back to FinCom about the fact that they still owe us 15 hours per week.
Mhm.
So if the school thing is, obviously a large issue, and we don't know yet how that's going to go. And there could be a possibility that different budgets in the town, it'll be right across the board, there would be cuts. And my conversation with Karen was, I would like the dollar figure on the 15 hours for a year, what that comes to, because we're still owed that. And so just say, for example, they want to cut our budget 20,000 and those 15 hours add up to 10,000. Well, I feel that they can only cut our budget 10,000 because they already still owe us. Even though at one of the selectmen's meetings earlier this year, they said every department had been brought back up. It was every department except for the library.
So I did actually do some rough calculations, because obviously when the cuts were done, different staff with different salaries. But I did do some estimates. Right now, if we did get the 15 hours back at some point, it would, we would decide which staff would get those hours and for the best benefit of the library. So it would depend. So I did some different scenarios, and just sort of an average, it would actually be about $20,000.
A lot.
For the 15 hours. However, there's also the factor of benefited versus non-benefited positions. So originally, we had 4 union staff members before the cuts. They were all benefited. Right now, we currently have 5 union staff members, that's including Jean, who only does the 5 hours. But so there's a total of 5, and there's only 2 benefited positions. So if we were to get 15 hours back, we would have to be adding, that would bump up some people to now be benefited. So in addition to the 20,000 for salaries, depending on what scenario, how you designated the hours to go to different people, you would be adding at least 1 benefited position, possibly 2. So there is that a factor in there, and I don't know what the cost of benefits are. I know it's quite a substantial amount, I believe, which is why they usually try to limit benefited positions, but it would be at least 1 benefited position plus that salaries is where it stands.
Linda, you going to say something?
No.
No. Okay. No, the board lit up around your name, so that's why.
I think it was my pen.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So, all right. So yeah, is there any other comments about that, or?
But does everyone agree that, we should come back to them if we are in that position, that we're still owed these hours, these funds?
We can try.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. We have to try.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. So were there any foundation updates, Linda?
I'll give a brief couple things. Actually, the Fidelity account is doing rather well. I don't quite understand the market. I don't know as if I ever did, but our current balance in Fidelity is 478. Yeah, no, $474,475. And that's up from $462,041 the end of December. So it's up considerably.
Getting closer to that $500,000 mark.
I'm sorry, Diane, I didn't hear that.
I said, getting closer to that $500,000 mark.
Oh, I know. It was even closer, I think, before a down market the past couple of days. Okay, so that's exciting. And I guess we're well invested conservatively or rounded or whatever. Library support, we discussed briefly, I think, our last meeting. The budgeted amount for the foundation library support this year was $1,700. And Karen's expended $520. So there's $1,180 left for Karen to spend as she thinks best. Okay. Trivia night, we haven't canceled it, but there's no way we can hold it, I'm sure, even if the camper opened on a limited basis for spacing, and I think it's time to cancel. Any discussion on that?
I would agree. I attended the selectmen's meeting last week, and Billy, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the woman's name, they were talking about it, but the rec committee had not had a meeting in a while. So I was left with the assumption that they 100% prepared for last week's meeting. But, you know, there's some concern about Cranberry Cove, having the right coverage, having the coverage for the parking lot, and kids are jumping the fence or climbing over different areas and getting in and swimming anyway. So, but from how the meeting went, they really have to get some more information, but it looks like that Camp Kawani won't be open for the summer.
Yes.
Now, Cranberry Cove could be opening, but I don't think the camp, from what everybody was saying, but there'll still be another meeting. So
I did speak with the administrative assistant for Camp Kawani, who is going to get back to me. She didn't really know the situation for the summer for events and all, but even if they did open on a limited basis, we couldn't do trivia with the spacing necessary.
No, we couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And just so you know, the rec commission is due to meet on, what's that date, the 18th? They did set a meeting.
Good.
I just lost it. Okay, here it is. On Thursday, June 18th from 4 to 5:30. It's a virtual meeting for the rec commission. But the discussion is mainly about the cove.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I agree. I don't see how we could, I don't see how we could do any distancing. We would have to have about maybe 6 tables, and it would be, it's too bad.
Yeah.
I did notice Tufts Library in Weymouth, they were offering a online trivia of some sort. So I signed up to see, not necessarily as a fundraiser. I thought it'd be interesting to see how that operated. And then just last week, I read that their employees are being furloughed and it was canceled.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Anyways, okay, one other quick thing. I guess the rep from Skate Town contacted Jen and Family Carousel, wanted to know about August. They are reopening and they do have safety guidelines in place. I don't know how Karen and the other trustees felt about offering family skate time.
Well, having gone last year, I mean, the children, I mean, family, like sisters and brothers could be skating together. But if I was there and Pam was there, she'd have to skate on her own. So they would be practicing the social distancing, but I don't know how well that's going to work with young people.
Right. And then another concern is that in the past, kids have been dropped off by guardians or parents. And,
Yes.
I don't think that would be good.
No. I don't
So
think so.
should we go ahead and say no on that, you think? It's, how does everyone feel?
The number of people that could be, like, would we have to limit it? Because before we didn't really have a max.
Well, it's so big. I don't know as if we might have to require sign up, but in mass, but because of the space, we might.
I would think that since there's really not much going on during the summer for kids, I'd be concerned that you'd have tons of people signing up. Now, I could be wrong, but
Right.
my experience has been personally, as well as seeing different people, is kids are starting to get together anyway now. So I'm thinking if we did have something, you might end up having quite a few people, and I don't know how you could really control that, you know?
And the other thing from past practice, we've had it so many years, we've never taken attendance, so people are probably thinking they could just show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it is better.
I just wanted to interject because I spoke directly with the rep. She said that they're not opening until July 15th, and this would be contingent upon obviously the state guidelines. So that's what she was saying is, if it is safe to do so, would you still want to come? I don't think she was looking for an answer, that day, that moment. I think what she was saying is that we're opening July 15th. We have these safety protocols in place. If the state allows it, would you be comfortable? So I think it's really from the trustees' point of view, would you be comfortable? And she felt very, very comfortable that their business model would be safe with all kinds of safety protocol. So from her point of view, she felt very comfortable and very safe. She was just reaching out to us to see if we were as comfortable. So that's what I just wanted to say about that.
Karen, do you have any?
I feel like with all the things mentioned, that it would, maybe the cons would outweigh the pros. If we don't have to give her a definite answer right now, maybe we hold off a bit, see kind of where things are in a little bit of time. But my feeling is right now would be probably a no.
Well, yeah, as I said, they're not open till July 15th anyway,
So maybe kind of wait and see till then if we can.
But we can certainly make a decision I can call up and say, no, thank you.
Well, it might be good in a way not to hold out on people and have them think
Yeah.
it's going to happen. I don't know.
I would just be concerned that we would have like a set list of people signing up, and then like somebody else had mentioned, I forgot who, that people just might start showing up, and then just,
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have to turn them away.
Yeah, which would, that would be too much of that would just be disappointing all around. So
I'm tending with Pam, especially where we have kids that show up without adults.
Yeah.
I don't want to be disciplining them. I don't want them to not be careful or follow guidelines.
And there's been so many kids that want to get out and do things, so it would really be disappointing, so it might be better just to err on the side of caution and just maybe not do it. I mean,
that's what I think.
Yeah,
I think so,
okay with
too.
that, Jen and Diana? Or
I
Corinne?
agree.
Joanne? Okay.
I think so. I think definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I can call her.
Unfortunate.
and I do agree with Linda that it's good to let them know as soon as possible, because it's so important for businesses at this point in time to be able to, fill in slots if they can, and, ahead of time. So.
Oh, I think she.
Yeah, if they can book a private party, then
Yeah.
let them make that money on that.
I don't think that was her concern, but
True.
because it's a morning, on a whatever weekday morning. But I totally agree that I will call her and I'll let her know that given the situation, that it's in our best interest to cancel as soon as possible.
Okay, I appreciate that.
You're
Thank you, Jen. And also, I meant to ask Diana, will you contact Kevin about trivia night?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I think that's all for the foundation, unless anyone has questions or anything.
Linda, I just want to know, so we're not having a foundation meeting anytime soon, are we?
I don't see any need for one.
Perfect. I'm just going to write this down, then we've canceled these 2 events.
Yes,
Okay.
because I think with everyone here, we have a majority, and I don't think other people would object to us
Perfect.
making these decisions.
Well, if you do, Linda, you can use our Zoom account if you need
Oh,
to.
thank you.
Mhm.
Does anyone want one? A meeting?
No.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think I have to.
Well, before we adjourn,
Well, I'll say one thing if I could about the foundation. We are a nonprofit and not a public institution. We don't have to abide by the open meeting law. I mean, I don't want to be making decisions independently or anything. I never have and never will. But we can do a lot more by email without posting a meeting than a town board could or town official could. Just
Well, are you gonna, speaking of that, Linda, will you send out an email then to the foundation just to let them know that these events are gonna be canceled due to all that's going on, just so that everybody's up to speed?
yes, I will.
Okay.
Anyone want to help me with wording? Figure it out, I guess.
I can preview something, Linda.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
okay, and before we adjourn, I just want to thank Jen and Joanne for all their years of service as trustees. We would like to have a little celebration when we're able to meet again. So maybe you can come to a future Trustees meeting that might be in the community room and we're all separated.
Perfect.
We can see the floor.
Perfect.
You know,
Yay.
I know myself, I've learned a lot from both of you in my time as a trustee. And I've always valued your input and your insight and years of service. And at some point, the selectmen will also like to honor you at a future meeting, and I have no idea when that would be.
That's not needed, but thank you.
I'd like to reiterate everything Corinne said. Yeah, your dedication and service has been outstanding and
Yeah.
appreciated highly.
You're welcome. It's been a joy.
It's been one of my favorite things to do, so.
It's been a joy.
You guys will be missed.
Yes,
we'll
you
miss
certainly will be. Mhm.
We'll be around.
And we had this wasn't a record meeting either. Very effective. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. I make a motion to adjourn the trustees meeting of June 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Okay,
All
we're all
right.
set.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Question, any idea about the next meeting, Karen?
Oh, no, I'm not sure right now. I mean, I would think probably within like 3 weeks, maybe.
Okay,
Or probably sooner. I mean, things are changing so much that we might need one fit sooner than that. So I'll definitely be in touch.
okay, appreciate that.